As I was going for the shotgun, I went to swing down, and he fired, and I got hit in the right arm. I went down. Sharon screamed, and she ran out. He was bringing the gun back down on me, and then he decided to follow through with going after her. But she had run the opposite direction, banging on the door, and unfortunately that's where he found her and shot her in the back of the head.
Lifted Mike out, forced Leah down, and shot them both multiple times.
Wow, another police officer was murdered. Little did we know at that time that it was our son, but we had no idea the trauma and the unbelievable situations that we would be thrown in.
It said Cody's dead. There's a sheet over him. He's been shot. Woke up my 13-year-old son and told him that his brother had been killed. And I know he later on had made comments, I wish it was just a bad dream.
I have a son in my heart now. Being the gentleman that he was, he took this young lady home. While they're sitting in front of her door, this guy walks up without reason, and he just opened fire on my child while he was sitting in the car. I don't know. It's like at that moment, I just totally lost it. And if it wasn't for this program, I think I probably would have totally lost it.
You're not supposed to bury your child. Your child is supposed to bury you.
I keep telling people there was a Rick before this happened. All I wanted to get to was get back to being Rick again.
My name is Roberta Roper. My husband and I, Vince Roper, are the founders of what originally was the Stephanie Roper Committee and Foundation in tribute to our slain daughter. In 1982, when Stephanie was murdered, her crime committed against her was considered one of the most heinous ever in our state. As I said, we went into this process full of trust and hope, and that was all destroyed. The defense convinced them that anything I had to say was emotional, irrelevant, and probable cause for reversal on trial. Victims 40 years ago had no right to information, no right to be present, no right to be heard. And we wanted to remedy that. Probably the most significant achievement was the passage of a state constitutional amendment that provides for the fair treatment of crime victims, that they may be informed, they may be present and be heard in all criminal proceedings to which the accused has such a right.
We have roughly 1,000 new cases a year, and we're there with them from beginning to end. We are working on cases that are as old as the organization, 40 years old.
And I'm glad we're in the room where the walls are covered with photographs of just a fraction of the victims whose families we have served. But it happens to good people every day. Throughout the years as we've grown and our needs and the people we are serving have increased, the financial assistance has not kept up with that demand and those needs. And that's the difficulty, the challenges we face, keeping those good people on staff.
And there's plenty of victims who don't know we exist, don't know that our help is available to them, and it is just a crying shame. They don't need to face all of that alone.
Of all the consequences of a heinous crime, perhaps there is no greater loss than the loss of hope. And that's where it was for me personally, because I thought, if I don't want to live and I don't have hope, how am I going to encourage my 4 surviving children? That was really the factor that persuaded us to do everything in our power to channel this anger, this rage, this sorrow, this frustration into something positive.
Because it's one thing for us to be helped, but for us to be able to help others, that's also a healing aspect of it as well. Just to know that we aren't the only ones that are going through this.
They set up an appointment for me to talk to Mr. Quayspat because I don't understand what their hearing is and all these different legal terms, all the legalese that is used. And I think that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
They allowed me to take what I consider pain and failure and process it into more success and a tool to help other people.
These are the kinds of people that benefit from contributions to the Maryland Crime Victims Resource Center. Unfortunately, there's always someone new coming in through that door who needs help.
They've done so much for me, and repaying them, there's not enough money in the world.
We have met some of the most phenomenal people through this organization. The organization itself, but also the survivors, because we are survivors. We're going to make it through.
And that is the great joy for me, to see families who are not only survivors, but they're thriving survivors, and they're living good lives because they have chosen to overcome evil by doing good and helping others.
This is my son, Willie Herman Baskerville. You see that smile? That's what I'm talking about.